Okay. Yeah. All right. Yeah. Thanks, Gwen, for taking the time and organising this. Yeah. I would have liked to have been there in person on the fourth, but the situations happened. I'm not able to. But I got a bit of a summary of my experiences and stuff. So I'll just kick it off there from there.
Yeah, go
Um,
for it.
in regards to the Christ figure role, I remember back in 2014, I think, when I was speaking to Nick Camino, who was the guy before me that did a great job for 8 years, I believe. He was sort of dropping hints here and there that he wasn't going to, this was his last year. And I didn't really think too much about it. Maybe towards the end of the performance, or maybe after the performance finished, about maybe there could be an opening if I wanted to do it. So basically, what happened was later in the year. Basically, I was thinking about it and I was wrestling with it. Actually, to be honest, God was speaking to me for about 6 months about it. Um, I guess the responsibility sort of weighed on me whether I was prepared to take it. But the main real point was that the main question, speaking honestly, was was I worthy to play Christ? Like the worthy in a acting role. I came to the conclusion in the end that really no, I wasn't worthy. I'm not worthy, but I'm going to be comfortable with that. But the main idea, and as Nick expressed this to me, was to represent Jesus. Pray that people would see him and not me, and represent him as best as I could, showing um, showing Jesus love people, and how he would react to others. So it's more of a representation rather than if you think about playing God, then you could just it's just too much. You just can't do it. So I thought, yeah, maybe I could do this. I could give it a go. I always wanted to do something great in my life, I guess, and make a real difference. I always wanted to make a difference in whatever I was doing. So I was in my early 40s at the time. So I thought if I was going to do it, would have to be now. I'm not going to be able to do this when I'm in turn 50 or something. It'd just be too old. So I saw this opportunity as a great responsibility, but a chance for great blessing also. Um, and my family was supportive. Michelle was definitely supportive, so that was great. My only experience in acting really beforehand was sort of church youth groups and youth dramas.
Mm.
But I've always had an interest in movies and actors and appreciated good acting. So having done it, the passion to play for a couple of years, I thought I could, just sort of gave me a bit of confidence to take it on board.
This
So
was
from being
all.
from the play committee, yep.
Sorry, I was just saying. This your first year in the play was it 2012 or 2013, and then you were the Christ
First
figure.
first year in the play was First year in the play was 2013. I played
Yeah,
Judas. I was just
yeah,
playing Judas, and that was a fairly big, pretty emotional sort of
yeah.
role.
It's
And
not
in
just
2000,
playing Judas.
yeah,
Judas
no,
is a big
it's an
role
important
too,
role.
but
Every
and
good
you played
story
it
needs a
great.
villain.
It does, and
Thank
you
you.
played a great villain, I'm
Yeah,
sure.
thanks.
Yeah, no.
2014, I was playing a variety of roles. Yeah, so just did everything else but play Jesus that time. But yeah, anyway, so being the committee sort of accepting me to do it, basically, so from 2015, I started preparing myself for it. Um, oh, yeah, some people don't know. I badly injured my shoulder in 2006, my collarbone. So my left shoulder isn't that strong. So I really wanted to work on that, probably more the following year. But I had a personal trainer at the time, and so we decided, I needed to work on my shoulder strength and chest, basically because I was concerned I was not going to be able to hold myself up on the cross and pretend to, die on the cross, as Jesus did. So sort of involved a lot of not just learning lines, but also a lot of physical exercises. Had to do exercises at night time and things like that, and just to get myself ready to get my shoulders strong enough to do it as well. So, in regards to the lines, my wife Michelle had some good ideas. She used to record herself with the lines, and I was sort of pretended to say the line in a different voice beforehand, said my line so I knew what was coming, and I listened to that on the train. Actually, Nick advised me to do that too. I remember him talking about that. So so yeah, recorded my lines. And if I wasn't, so pretty much every day, if I wasn't reading the script, I was listening to it. So yeah, and being on the train gave me opportunity to learn my lines on the way home, and also Michelle helped me with learning them at night time, and she was really invaluable for doing that and practicing that. So in terms of the practices, yep, started getting into that. One thing I felt what Nick did, and I sort of practiced this myself, was I just sort of separated myself a little bit from everyone. I didn't want to be antisocial, but I kind of really felt like I had to get into the right frame of mind, even in the practices. So basically, I guess I felt like I couldn't listen or take part in any conversations not honoring to God. I'm not saying people were doing that all the time. I'm just saying even that, but just general conversation. I had to really be careful what I listened to, because I just needed to be in the right frame of mind in delivering the lines, even in practices, and be convincing, and give my best to representing the character of the Christ figure. Yeah, and also Nick gave me advice not to get involved in any politics or taking sides against other people or cast or crew. Anyway, say no more. So
Probably
yeah,
wise. Probably wise.
very good advice. Yeah, that's
Yeah.
try to do that too. So
No,
yeah,
that's
basically,
great.
so when I first took on the role, I think Ray was directing 2015. Pretty much followed the entire script. You know, it's 250 lines plus. So I kind of even so didn't really change too much. Just really want to focus on the lines in the first year. As you mentioned, yeah, Judas was the first role in 2013. There's lots of emotional ups and downs, highs and lows in that character. But I felt like Jesus, the Christ figure, had to be kept. I wanted to represent him in a sort of a fairly steady emotional level, only going up and down a little bit at certain times. Because Jesus is called the Prince of Peace. I don't think every day. I don't think, even though probably life was dramatic, I don't think he himself was going through an emotional roller coaster. So I tried to play it pretty much level most of the time, and yeah, that's what I felt like. So I guess the acting side wasn't. Yeah, it's probably more the preparation for it mentally and emotionally, rather than the trying to be overact, I guess. But
Yeah.
I guess that sort of worked for me. In terms of the performances, the most challenging for me every year was probably the Sermon on the Mount. Generally,
That's a
because
big
that
one.
was
Yeah.
can be up to 2,000 people looking at you and focused on looking at the Christ figure and focused on every word. And usually people are very quiet, respectful, especially that time, because they want to hear it. It's one of Jesus' most important messages. So quite a few occasions when I couldn't remember the next line, fortunately God put in my memory the line, and I could finish what I was. Once I had the next line, I could finish the paragraph.
Yeah.
And that, yeah, I guess that felt, as to me, that's the most recognizable block of scripture for Christians. It's a big responsibility to get it right, and also I wanted to helped to get it right with people accepting my representation of that and investing themselves, believing on what was going on, and it was fairly accurate to events from the Bible. So for me personally, I like to get it. I like to get the details right and get as close as I can, 100% right. I guess God's been working on me to strive. It's okay to strive for perfection, be able to let go when I don't reach that point, which is very often. So
perfection is a very hard thing to get all the time.
Yes, it is. Yes.
But that Sermon on the Mount
Surprising.
scene especially is massive. Like, sorry, Ryan, you go. I was just saying that. All looking back at that Sermon on the Mount scene, I always just think, how can you remember all those lines at one time and be making that eye contact and remember when you need to stop? And it's just awesome. And you guys just do it amazingly. And obviously God's like you said, he's put those lines in you when you struggle, and it's amazing. You do so well. I can't.
Thank you. The surprising thing was that I during some of those scenes I used to get choked up with emotion, and I wasn't acting. It just come up, and it was hard to control sometimes. Usually that scene and the Gethsemane scene. So and sometimes on the cross, of course, as well. But was usually happened to be on the Sermon on the Mount. Yeah, which was interesting. Yeah, so and I wasn't ready for it. It always sort of come up and hit you. And yeah, you realize
Yeah,
the
yeah,
gravity, the situation, I guess. Yeah.
yeah,
So,
the
but
power
that
of
was
it.
yeah, point. So the other thing I tried to incorporate during the performances, Michelle and I had read a book called by the actor who played Jesus, Bruce Marciano, called Footsteps of Jesus, and he played him in the book of the Gospel of Matthew, sort of around in the 90s, a while ago. Bruce Marciano has done that role for many, many years and many movies. So Chosen wasn't around then. We didn't have that. The Bible series had only just come out, I think. But yeah, so I sort of look what Bruce Marciano tried to bring in his portrayal of Jesus was joy, the joy aspect. They're showing that joy to others, relating to people, and that sort of thing. So I tried to do that more when I did the role. So yeah, because I felt like that was important for people to relate to Jesus. You can sort of clearly see that in the way that the guy Jonathan Rumi does that in The Chosen too. I think he does that too. Yeah, which is good. So the I guess also another interesting thing, the performances were in the last couple of years of the role, we had sometimes over 2,000 people. We had some thousands of people, especially Good Friday service. So I felt like that when other actors got into the role and really acted it really well in their character, it helped lift my confidence and lifted everyone up too, lifted the standard. So I guess what I'm saying is it wasn't just about me, but I just felt like if the other characters, if I did my best to try and lift it, and the other characters lifted it, then the whole thing lifted it because everyone felt that and wanted to take it to higher and to a greater standard. So it's sort of hard to, I guess that's a subjective thing, but that's what I felt. That's why it was a good, I guess, a team effort really, really helps in these sort of things too, and to lift the standard. Yeah, the quality of the acting, I guess. Yeah, and relatability. Yeah. Yeah. So in terms of coming to an end, so I did the role 2015, 16, 17. I was conscious of the physicality required for this role. I think I mentioned before, because of my shoulder, I had to sort of work on that every year. And look, I mean, there's times you had during when we did it, so I was getting whipped. Of course, I know it's not as nowhere near, nowhere. It's a tiny, tiny, tiny fraction of what Jesus had to endure. So I understand that, but I guess it still was demanding, and sometimes you never knew what was going to happen. whether
Yep.
where we get you, and whether we get whipped anywhere, and how bad it would feel. So I just felt like it was, and also the strength trying to hold yourself up on the cross.
Yeah, very demanding.
I just felt like it was, I was gonna towards the end of 2017 that was probably going to be. I just give it one more year. And I did feel like God was speaking to me about that, and just said so that was so when it came to 2018 year, I told everyone that was it, and no one really was able to convince me otherwise. When
they're very good at convincing you to do things, aren't they?
That's true. That's true. Yes, you know it. Yeah. So look, it's a great cause and great thing to be involved in. Very unique thing in ministry. Yeah. So I was conscious though in the last couple of years. I wasn't conscious of it first up, but the last year, particularly second last year, particularly last year, that how much that children want to be. That is a beautiful thing actually. Children really come up to you, and you can even see that when Andrew plays Jesus. They want to meet him, they want to touch him, they want to have a photo. They almost believe that he is Jesus. That is very special. So so I was conscious about trying to meet kids afterwards, and excuse me, and to them, like I was Jesus, so make an effort to talk to people and be kind to people and have photos with kids, and and don't take granted, because that was a very amazing thing.
Yeah.
Some interesting highlights. Um, I remember that, I guess particularly the last year I was doing it, we had two temple scenes, and the lines were very similar. So there was one of the scenes I had an argument with the priests. I think it was Bill and Robert, and basically every week one of us would stuff it up. Like, it was very frustrating to me. I was just like, we've got to get this right. I can't get it. Why is it was like take turns stuffing it up. No, it was more your turn this week. No, I stuffed it this week. Like, oh man, it was my turn.
I
Anyway,
love Bill Robbins.
every practice. Yeah. And leading up to the first performance night, I was thinking, I don't even know how this is going to go, because we have not got it right every single time.
Mm-hmm.
But absolutely, as God is my witness, the very first performance night, we absolutely nailed it. Yeah.
Oh,
The first time ever in that scene, and that was a pretty cool feeling. Yeah. I thought when that happened, that's it. It's awesome. Everything else is going to go for, like, yeah, I was so happy. We were high-fiving everyone. Yeah.
oh,
So, and look,
cute.
a couple of the other nights, we didn't get 100%, but it was still pretty good. But like, I was just so happy that the very first night we smashed it. So, I guess it was a good example to me that if we give our best, God will give grace over, um, I guess, mine and everyone else's performance, and we'll pull it to a high standard. It's not previously evident to others. And that's been clear time and time again at the Passion Play.
Yeah.
I'm sure that's
Every year,
happened
isn't
when
it?
you've
Yeah.
been in before as well. Yeah, yeah. So,
It's always, you
yeah,
always
just
feel like
manages.
you're never,
God seems to bout up.
yeah, like God always has our back. Like, we always go in so unprepared, or we feel unprepared. And then, like, yeah, at first it's always great,
Yeah,
and everyone always, and it just gets better and better as the performances go. Hey, and you would know that by Good Friday to Sunday, we're
yeah,
doing it like no other. It's great,
the
so great.
point.
But
Yeah.
yeah,
So the last year, I felt I probably put a lot of pressure on myself, because I really wanted to finish well.
mm,
And one of the nights, and I guess speaking honestly here, I
mm,
felt I felt like I was bombarded with a lot of negative thoughts, worldly thoughts. It did take me a
mm.
while to shake them off, but in these sort of times, you can't just sort of pack up and go home. You've got to be able to
No,
focus
no,
on the task at hand. So
yeah,
I, even though I really struggled that Friday night, I think it was my last year. Um,
mm,
I've had comments that performance of all of them was one of the best ones, the best one.
yeah.
So really, God must have again come through to help me to act that one well, because it was a struggle. So
Oh,
yeah,
yeah. No, that's great.
that's good. So in terms of, I'm almost got about three more paragraphs here.
Yeah.
Family involved. So yeah, so when Michelle and I had been to it, a couple of years just having a look, and then Michelle's had a history of acting and things before, so we
Mm,
thought we'd give it a go. Sarah and Samuel were when we first started, we were 1 and 3 years old, respectively. So
crazy.
we were always
They're so
conscious of
big
them
now.
yeah, we were conscious of them near the lake, and falling off rock walls and stuff. Samuel was only 1.5, and we may have the record for the youngest active member of cast. So
Oh, I think so.
it's
I definitely think so.
probably won't. Yeah,
I
so
don't.
that was interesting, but praise the Lord, nothing major happened to him. So yeah,
I loved his little
yeah, but
costume
it was
too. His
good for
little
them to be
blue
involved.
shirt.
Right.
Sorry,
Yeah.
sorry.
Yeah,
I
that's
just
how you
love
say
your
that.
family photo
Nice
each year,
costumes.
and you're like him in his little blue shirt that he wore. It's just the cutest thing ever.
Right, right. Yeah. Yeah, so it's been great for our involvement, for their involvement. And doing both enjoy a bit of acting now, especially Sarah's, some more skills in creative arts, in music and in dancing. She's gotten really good at those things. So yeah, it's opened that up. In terms of history, I guess I think we touched on this before. So we've been, as a family, been involved in some capacity from 2013 to 2019. And 2021 acted as pilot, and then 2020 last year I was pilot, and then Michelle and I were co-directing, and she was acting too. So yeah, look, I'll just touch on the directing side. It was challenging, but it was rewarding. I guess it's probably a topic for another discussion, but enough to say that it was certainly beneficial to have a co-director as Michelle as for her, and really she had great support. It's really, I think it was really good to have two people to do it because it's a massive thing. And Sarah Platts was very helpful in terms of her support as producer and share my concerns with Week as well. So yeah. So this year, yeah, I'm not going to be able to be involved this year because I'm going to Bible College, Andrew Womack, part-time. As mentioned before, at the Gold Coast, so I have to be there every face-to-face every second Saturday. Who knows what will happen in 2024? It will be our 10th year involvement if we are. And yeah, it's going to be a big year now for other people, Keith and Marion, and that sort of thing. So you never know. So I just wanted to finish lastly from the play. I guess first of all, do you have any questions? Or,
Oh,
or
sorry, you've just frozen. I'm just waiting for you to come back. Hang on.
okay.
I think it's probably from my end. Let me just check that this is working. All right, I think I've got you. Yeah, you're back. You're not frozen anymore.
Yeah. I guess.
Sorry, go ahead.
No, okay. So I was just going to finish lessons, life lessons, I guess, from the play.
Yeah, please.
Excuse me. Just have a drink. I'm like acting, you know, if we put in the effort, put the work in. So yeah, just as in like in learning stuff for acting, okay, God will bless our efforts, but we need to do the worst. God's not going to in situations. God's not going to supernaturally, you know, stuff that you didn't have. Like, you know, for example, your acting, put lines into your head. If you haven't learned them already, so we need to do our part, I believe, and then God will do His faithful to part. I believe some service can be for a season. So you need to live. You there?
Yes, I'm here. I think it just. Are you here?
Yep, I can hear.
What just happened? Did it time out?
Not sure. I didn't check it. I didn't check anything. I didn't touch anything.
No, no, I didn't think you did. I don't know. Well, you're back now. I think it has set a 10-minute countdown. So I don't know. Maybe it was just being a bit silly. But yeah, sorry. Continue.
Yeah. So like, just going back to what I was saying, like the temple scene I mentioned before, with the priests and only getting it right on the first woman. It ain't over till it's over, as the saying goes. So like lessons, you know, like sport, great sporting victories Australia's had, like the America's Cup or Stephen Bradbury, you know, when ice skating. God can pluck victory from the jaws of defeat. We give it to the Lord. If it doesn't, well, if we give it to God. If it doesn't work out, we strive to do our best. And we let go. If you don't make it, don't get there. You still aim for something. And if you don't, may not get exactly where you aim for, but and to get somewhere good, even great, you know. So you've got to aim for something and do your best. Individually, our work for the Lord is limited, but with a great team around us and people working together, like in the Passion Play, you know, a great team working around us, we can achieve wonderful things, great things, rather than just being on your own. And you can see people coming into and strengthened in the kingdom of God. Lastly, when I went on a mission trip short term many years ago to the Philippines, and there was a massive sign in the front of the church of this church we visited, and it's quoted from the father of missions, William Carey. He was a missionary to India in the 1800s, I believe, a while ago. Anyway, that inspires me sometimes. And when you're looking to do something out of your comfort zone for the Lord, it says, quote, attempt great things for God, expect great things from God. Attempt great things for God, expect great things from God. So I guess the whole Christ figure experience for me was really, that sort of sums it up in a nutshell. As if you've got sort of attempting great things, then you know great things will happen out of God. Will provide, greatly be faithful and help. in whatever you're doing. So yeah, so thank you for giving me this opportunity to share my experiences and feelings. And that's pretty much it. God bless you all.
Thanks, Ben. That was awesome. That was really good. You're really good at just talking to the camera. I didn't even have to help you. So thank you. I just had one question. I think it was to do with when you said that you would go and
Sure.
like have your time by yourself and you'd like get in character. Kind of like how did that really help you? So that kind of involved you going and praying and thinking. Because I do remember seeing you off by yourself and walking around, and I was thought he's in his head and he's getting into it, and kind of like I often have seen a lot of the Christ figures do that. Like you said, Nick did, and I know that Andrew does it now. So I guess yeah, deep dive into that maybe just a little bit.
Yeah, good question. I guess, well, I mean, part of it is just getting the lines because there's so many lines. So just rehearsing that over and over to get it right because, you know, the parts, if I stuff it, then everyone has to wait for me to get it right again. So I guess dealing with that pressure. But also, I just felt like I couldn't risk conversations that were taking me away from where I needed to be. I need to be in a zone where you're just focused on the word of God and focused on delivering that. I mean, it's personal choice. Some people might be able to just talk and then back off, but yeah, I was distracted at times by what some people have been saying, and I'm not being trying not to be negative of people's conversations or anything, but yeah, it's just the focus, I guess, is more yeah, just delivering it the right way. I just didn't want to be distracted from that. So
Yeah,
I did. Yeah,
I
Andrew does again, and it was,
yeah, no, I was gonna say that like obviously backstage is a very loudy place and you have kids running around and some people find it a lot easier to just jump into their character, or if you're a crowd person you don't really have a character, so it's definitely a very loud and noisy place back there even though we try to be quiet. So it makes sense for someone doing such a big role, so it makes
yeah.
sense. Yeah, awesome. Well, I don't know if you have anything else. I don't know if Michelle wants to pop in, but we're almost out of time, I think. But yeah.
Just hang on a second.
Yeah.
Babe, you want to say something to Gwen? No, it's okay if you don't. Oh, I think. Are you coming up or not? Are you right? Might have to. Yeah. Yeah.
Hey, Ken.
Hi, Michelle. How are you?
How are you?
Good. We're just talking about how your kids literally grew up on the Passion Play.
Pretty much. Yeah.
I was like trying to remember the story of his little blue costume. That was the only thing that he wore, right? He wanted to wear. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
He would not wear any of the costumes. Had to wear my shirt.
Oh, understandable. They probably weren't many costumes that would fit him either when you're one. No.
Yeah. I think the costumes all kind of freaked him out.
Oh yeah, understandably.
I think the costumes kind of freaked him. Yeah.
I'd be a bit freaked out wearing something like that. I was always funny about wearing sandals when I was a kid. I just wore rather bare feet. But was there anything that you wanted to say about being in the play? I don't know if you do, or if you might have some little things.
I haven't planned anything, but it's just a great privilege, and it's a great privilege to be telling the story of Jesus, and yeah, like even the parts that some people thought not that great, like the woman caught in adultery, quite interesting to play, and just really made you grow as an actor, and I love diving into the scripture as well about the stories, and it's just a great experience.
Yeah. Oh, that's
At least
great.
everybody should do.
You just froze out for 2 seconds. I feel like my connection. I'm at the lake, and I did not think being at the lake through, but it was working. Okay. I was just not thinking. I was like, this would be great, but no, thank you. You've Bern said you had acting experience before. You enjoyed it, so we can tell. Like you've got all your little techniques for rehearsing the lines and how to get into character, and you just do it so well. So
Thank you. Thanks, Grace.
yeah. Well, enjoy. We will probably see you at, I hope, at our 30th anniversary dinner whenever we decide to plan that. Or at some social event when we actually decide to have that board game that we never did, but we will. But, yeah. All right. Well, I think that's all